Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Kyle from the TF Review, and today, in honor of our 300th video, we're going to be taking a look at one of my all-time favorite Transformer figures. This is Human Alliance Jazz. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy this review. Now, the Human Alliance toy line will always remain one of my favorite toy lines ever, which is unfortunately no longer around, because I always kind of think of it as the closest we've ever gotten to movie masterpiece figures. That stands more so with this one in particular, not so much with like Sideswipe or Bumblebee, but with Jazz, this feels like it could be a movie masterpiece figure. From the vehicle mode, which is pretty much spot on to the Pontiac Solstice that it's based on, to the robot mode, the transformation screams masterpiece. That's just kind of how I like to think of it. And that's one of the primary reasons why this is one of my favorite figures. Now, taking a look at the Pontiac Solstice mode itself, you know, the toy really captured the detail. It's got a beautiful painted gunmetal gray color. In terms of the vehicle mode, there's no detail missing. You even got the little miniature Pontiac logo right there in the front, in the back, and the taillights, which are molded detail. The windshields are blue. I'm not sure why they chose blue, but they are. It doesn't seem to deter too much from the actual look. The only complaint that I would have is that it is a bit on the gappy side. You can definitely notice panels, but even that doesn't bother me too much. Apart from that, you know, you got the painted whims that look amazing. The side view mirrors and the spoiler are molded solid plastic, something I don't even think they do today. And the headlights and look just like real headlights, which I think is one of my favorite features of the vehicle mode. Now, Jazz came with a weapon in the form of this little motorcycle, and you also got a little Human Alliance figure, obviously. But it came with this little motorcycle. He could ride it, and then it would transform very simply into a gun, and there would be a little missile that popped out that Jazz would hold. And I'll show that a little bit later in the review. Now, some of the best features of the vehicle mode is a lot like kind of an alternative figure. The doors do open, like that. You can actually open both doors. And see that there is some molded detail, and you can actually fit your little Human Alliance figure in there. And you got a little steering wheel, and he's got kind of seats. They're not really seats, but they kind of look like seats. And if you wanted to, you could also open up the hood. Now, this is for the transformation more so, but you could open the hood like that, and there is actually a bit of detail that looks like engine detail. And that is another reason why I absolutely love this toy. And if you wanted the roll-down window, you could actually just take this little piece, and it pops off pretty easily. And just like that, and it doesn't do any damage. It's designed to pop off. And you could, you know, close it back up, and now it looks kind of like one of those tuner cars that you'd see with the roll-down windows. And that's a thing if you want it to be a thing. It doesn't have to be, but it's there. So now let's go ahead, let's look at the transformation. Now for the transformation. If I didn't love this transformation, I probably wouldn't even show it. I would just do like a fast motion thing, or I would just skip it entirely, but I love this transformation. So I'm going to show it off to the best of my abilities. So the first thing you want to do is you want to open the car doors. Just like that, and we can also pull up the hood. And also what we want to do is we want to be careful when we're doing this, but we can lift up on the spoiler just gently, because it does pin in right there at the bottom of the headlights. And we just want to lift it up like that, and then we can take this and fold it. And then we can leave those out of the way. Next thing we can do is actually just split the car in half completely, like that. And this will be the upper body, obviously, and this will be the lower body. And we can continue pulling this down. We just want to lift that up. And there we kind of have the legs, but not quite. Then we want to turn the car over. You'll notice these little butt cheek plates. Now this is when it gets a little finicky. We want to twist them down to the side and then rotate them around. So do the same on this one. Twist it down to the side and rotate it around. And now they become almost knee guards. Try and compress everything to the best of our abilities. And then there are some little heel pieces back here. You can just flip them around like that. And that gives them a bit more stability. Like that. And that's it for the legs. The legs are super easy. Then we want to take the front of the car and just split the headlight pieces down. And these side pieces will become the arms. So to get into arm mode, all we really need to do is just fold out these little claws out of the doors. And then the doors sort of compress up into each other. Like that. And then we can spin the arm around. And this will become an arm. We can do the same on this side. I'll do it from a different angle. We just want to take the claw that's inside the door, split it in half, like that, and then we can fold the door, kind of compress itself up. Now you'll notice this part now swings freely. We just want to flip it around 360, just like that. And we're almost there. Stabilize the camera a bit. Hopefully I won't bump it too much. Now we do want to take the arms and rotate them around. This will give them this joint. Take the arm like this and then rotate it, and that will allow it to bend. Then there's a piece, the engine piece that I showed you earlier. It's kind of hard to fold out, but if you want, you can just use a little bit of force. There it is. And now the car itself just bends down. And it bends down in kind of a weird way. You think it wouldn't be like that, but it bends down in kind of a hunched way. So you do need to reposition it a little bit. And that's that. So as you can see, we are almost there. Next thing I'm going to do is take this grill piece, just flip it up around, and then angle the headlights up. And then we can take the head, fold it up, and then twist it around. And we are almost there. Lastly, we just want to take these little windshield pieces, windshield wiper looking pieces, I guess you could say, and point those, angle those up so it's more like he is in the movie. And that is it. That is the transformation for Human Alliance Jazz. If you can find a way, you can sometimes compress the backpack. It does have a little bit of a backpack in forward. But from the front, I would say this is an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous toy. And now we have Human Alliance Jazz in his robot mode. And this is definitely where the figure shines the absolute most, especially when I mentioned how I feel like it's kind of more of a movie masterpiece figure than it is just a standard movie figure. They absolutely nailed the likeness of the character, like 100%. It's not too kibbly, it's got a ridiculous amount of articulation, it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. Now, it does have a bunch of play features and play gimmicks if you wanted to. Right here at the top, there is a little panel that folds up, like that, and you could sit your little Human Alliance figure, and then there's another cannon that folds around, and your Human Alliance figure can you can sit on Jazz's shoulder and blast some enemies. And you also could, if you wanted to, move the shin guards forward, and then there's these little blasters that fold out in the front. And you could sit your Human Alliance figures on his feet and have him use these little blasters. I like to keep the blasters up because it just adds a bit more detail and a bit more width to the knees, because I do think the knees are a little bit scrawny. And that's one of my main complaints, are the knees. They just look a little bit, not proportional. For articulation, he's got as much as you could ever want. His arms can rotate 360 degrees, bend at the elbow, can bend basically 90 degrees. His hands, he doesn't really even have hands. He's got these claws that are articulated, but kind of like, okay, you know, not much you can do with them. And you can get a nice swivel, too. So you got a lot of arm articulation. His head can move left and right. There's no actual waist swivel. I think they could have put a waist swivel if they wanted to, but at this point, they've already done so much on this figure. It doesn't hurt the figure too much. You can still get a decent range of dynamic poses. The legs can move in and out, forward and back, bend at the knee, and he's got a knee swivel, not a thigh swivel, but a knee swivel right there. And that's basically it. He has no feet articulation, which is, again, another one of my major gripes with this figure. You don't really need it because you can still get a good amount of poses, but it would just have made that figure so much better if there was just a little bit of feet articulation. Now, if you wanted to, you could take the gun, and actually you need to put the hand claws back into his arm in order to get this to work. And the gun just pegs in, and if you wanted to, the door can kind of wrap around it so it doesn't look as bad. And that's a gun that comes with him. And if you're into that kind of thing, you know, it's there for you. I think it's kind of dumb, but it's, you know, it gives him a weapon, and he definitely needs a weapon. And also, if you wanted more weapons, you could take these, point them forward, and use those as weapons. As well, because this guy, he needs more guns. He doesn't have enough guns. More guns equals more better. Lastly, his head sculpt is very impressive. If you wanted to, you can actually lift up the visor. So you have a pre-visor and a post-visor mode, I guess. I don't even think that's what it's called. And you can see there's just his normal, regular face. And it looks good. I do prefer the visor look. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the visor back, and now he's back into visor mode. And that is it. That is Human Alliance Jazz. This is one of my favorite figures ever. Which is kind of odd since it's a movie figure. You wouldn't expect that. But for some reason, they went above and beyond with this figure. And it was not an expensive figure. It was $30, and you got the motorcycle, and you got a little standalone action figure. And if Hasbro could continue to produce figures of this quality for $30, $35 in this scale, I would absolutely buy more. Which is why the Human Alliance line is literally my favorite Transformers line. Because it had that scale, it was very Masterpiece-esque, and it just did a lot for me. I do believe you can still buy knockoff cheapo Chinese versions on eBay for like $30. I don't know their quality. I don't know if they're as good as the legitimate real Hasbro ones, but you know, if they are, then definitely worth picking up. And I wouldn't be surprised if we ever did get a movie Masterpiece line where they just retooled this figure, because it is simply a stunning, stunning toy. So anyway, thanks again so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video review. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at the TF Review, and I will see you all in the next video.